Oh,
Well, it's been a while, guys.
it's been a hot minute.
It's been a while.
It's been too long.
Well, welcome back to another episode at The Heart Speaks. So, for all the real ones I've been watching, you probably noticed that I actually removed an episode on The Heart Speaks. And then we kind of went a bit like quiet on this channel for a while because we actually have been so busy with so many upcoming events and everything that we've been doing. And so that's why we had to put a pause on this. I think I wanted to start with the fact that I removed that episode because the guy that was on the episode, the special guest, he kind of dumped me like right after we were together for a bit. And then it got me questioning about my life actually. So I think I learned a lot of things in the process, and one of the major thing that I've discovered was the fact that why was it that I actually wanted to be in a relationship, and how and why did I fall so easily or so fast? And then I started questioning the whole concept of love and what it actually means.
You went on a whole existential trip.
I went on a whole existential trip. And then I've come to a realization that the core of it all was actually my upbringing in terms of religion and how I was raised. Because all my life I always thought that I need to find love, because I need to start a family, I need to, and yada yada, all that things. And then I realized that even the smallest thing, like the concept of why I fell so quickly, even though I barely even knew this person. So I was like, I think it's the whole reason was physical touch. Because for me, physical touch always seemed as something that was sexualized, because ever since I was a kid, it was seen like, oh, don't as touch was seen as a sexual act. And I just always got so uncomfortable with just a random touch in the street. But not even form like handshake and hugs for me were fine. But I wouldn't go to the extent of a pat on the back, It feels uncomfortable for me. Or a prolonged handshake. I just want to let go quickly. So then the only access through this physical touch were a relationship. Because that's when I can actually hug someone and feel comfortable hugging them for a prolonged period of time. So then I started to wonder, why is it that it's immediately attached to something so vulnerable? And then, of course, I know it's also a touchy subject because, of course, people should understand boundaries and space and not go around, licking everyone's foot, or something like that. And then I realized that it's actually from the religious aspect for me, because so okay, maybe I will slide into this topic of getting into a relationship for me was an escape of my reality that I didn't want to face, which was the questions that were arising about the religion that I was in. So the religious upbringing, because
Getting into a relationship was you running away from the existential questions that you had about religion.
Yes.
And it extended all the way to physical touch, because it feels like if you cannot touch someone, then what is there to ground you in reality, almost?
Yeah, exactly. Physical touch was one thing for sure, but there's another thing as well, which goes to the whole extent of why I live in the first place, which was, I suffer in this world so that I can go to heaven, so that my eternal life will be safe. So I guess even to that extent of not being in a relationship made me start to question that actually I need to make my own choices. But the choices also led to, wait, if I'm following a guy instead, because I realized that following my own mother was, or following a religion was not working, I was running to a different thing to follow. So, and then that's when I have to kind of come back and question if I actually don't believe in any of them fully to an extent, then then my whole idea of life is completely like destroyed, and I actually have to relearn a lot of things that I thought I knew. So then I guess that's when the searching starts, right? But before that, I actually was going into this dark trap of nihilism and actually following into what's the point of everything, what's the point of living, what's the point of cleaning my room, and that existential crisis became. Because I realized like, shit, if I'm just gonna follow myself, then I actually don't care, you know? I didn't care about myself enough to find a way for myself to live by myself, if that makes sense.
Why do you think this self-effacing like tendency started, or what contributed to this? The idea that I didn't care about myself, or your entire, let's say, perspective of yourself. How did religion play a part in that?
I think it's the self-sacrifice. Like, oh, I'm not gonna drink this cup of tea because I want you to enjoy it. I don't care if I drink this tea. Like, you can have it, you know? And then all these small things, like, they're very minimal. Like, I go see a beautiful view of the sunset, and I go, damn it, I wish this person so-and-so is here so you can see it. I don't go like, oh my gosh, this is so beautiful, I appreciate it, I really enjoy this view. I don't accept it for myself because I'm not here in this world to receive gifts. I'm like, my duty here is to suffer and then pray, because that's the only thing that can
Deliver
me from like that was my, like, in a way, why we are here and why we're living. So that's when I started all these small acts. Like, I actually I did not care about myself enough. Like, I was like, oh, I'm just nothing. I don't know, okay, maybe I'm going on a tangent here a bit, trying to recall. And I also, my thought process was that, shit, is this topic a bit quite intense? Because I realized there's a lot of different, I'm jumping in straight into a certain topic because we've been talking about this a lot. So I don't think I have any backstory.
I think we can jump in straight.
I put some prefacing first. I think that might be important. A lot of things we just covered.
Yeah, oh shit.
So, Julian and Beatrice, they are siblings.
Yes.
So you guys actually grew up in the same household with very similar upbringing, and I think like religious beliefs, at least in your household. You want to
Yes.
talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, I think I would, but also still more prefacing because we're gonna enter into very, very challenging territory. I think the first is, very quickly, I feel a lot of people, when they talk about religion, they're extremely sensitive about it because it feels like if it's not this religion as truth, then it's that religion as truth. And I think that's a huge initial pitfall. I don't think the rest of this conversation will be promoting any religion. I think that's the first preface. We're not going to promote any specific religion. I would say that I do adopt a very fair view to all religions, actually, that every religion seems to be pointing towards the direction of the betterment of humanity, with different, I guess, cores being different perspectives. And I think for the rest of this conversation also, because we are very well versed with Christianity, will be about certain pitfalls that Christians like ourselves have fallen into, which I think was not the truth of the essence of Christianity. I think that is valuable to talk about. Like, how did we go astray even though we've been trying our best to be good Christians? And that is precious. Not to say, therefore, whether Christianity is right or wrong. So that's not the discussion. But rather, what are the pitfalls that someone who is like blindly following Christianity could fall into? I think that's precious. Then the next prefacing I want to do is, very quickly, and a lot of other people online have done very deep academic discussions about religion, which we cannot do. We're not academic like scholars in religion, but we can talk about the honest human aspect of how we have been affected. So I think that is the lens that we're going to approach this. But I'm not going to be debating about scripture like those people who have studied scripture so in depth can do. But what we can say is how we've been affected by what we learned. So that's, I think, the lenses that I want to set the groundwork to have a fruitful, important, but a fruitful and meaningful discussion.
I think I'm also trying to go into more for the in-depth version of myself, like my own person, my own thoughts, and realizing that I was brought up with already like a book, rather than a blank page to start with, right?
A set of rules.
A set of rules.
Yeah.
Which I always appreciated so much, because that's where it taught me all my morals and all my like beliefs and my drive for life. But then I realized that it's not the same anymore, so I guess that's when I'm actually starting to realize that I don't know myself at all. And I've been following a lot of these rules.
So when you say you grew up not with a blank page but with a book, how was that like growing up? As Beatrice Low and as Julian Low, I guess.
I guess at the start it was very like, I wasn't like, in primary school it was okay because I felt like it didn't really click into me at all. I was just living day by day. But in secondary school, that's when I started splitting my personalities, so like I became church holy girl Beatrice at home, and then like party animal Beatrice in school, and then it's like it was completely divided, and I was a walking contradiction, and that's how I lived my life. And sometimes it slips, sometimes I accidentally swear, and I'm like, oh shit, I hope no one heard me at home, and then in school I'm like fully fasting, but at the same time it was okay to drink alcohol. I was just contradicting a lot of things that I was doing. So then it makes it seem like I was giving like I was biased towards myself. I'm like, oh, but I'm doing this, so it outweighs. It's like someone living a super healthy life but drinking and smoking. Like a healthy life isn't like working out, eating green vegetables, but then it's like there's a balance, guys, So I was doing that, and I also was contradicting in this element where like I eat really healthy, but I smoke and drink. Wow, there's so many things, man. I'm like,
There's a lot, but maybe we need to kind of converge for a short while. Like let's focus the discussion onto what I'm hearing as two big elements. We see which one we want to work on first. The first big element, most recent one you mentioned, is this duality of yourself. There is one self that really wants to be a good Christian, like a really, really good human, and therefore it looked like a monastic life, an ascetic, someone who is in constant prayer, fasting, only speaking good thoughts, etc. But then there's this other Beatrice that is, I guess, in the world, especially in the world of Singapore, where there is multi-religious society, and you kind of have to live, quote unquote, in the real world. And you can't be a monastic in the real world, because if you do, you would naturally, I guess, naturally be intolerant to other religions too, because you're firm in your belief. So then it comes the very big question about how do you wrestle that in-betweenness? Is there even a way? And of course, we'll talk about that in a bit. But I think the epitome of I guess how I understood to be a good Christian was incompatible with living in life. Yeah, that was the first big problem. And
For yourself.
for myself, yeah. Also, what I'm hearing from you, like there's the two Beatrice, the church going Beatrice, and then there's the party going Beatrice. How can that exist? Because how can that even be? How did you choose two at the same time? Then the other very big topic was the topic of self-destruction, or self-negation, as something that I guess is selfless. Therefore, something very good, something very holy, even that you have you have sacrificed yourself for others, and shouldn't that be a great thing? Yeah, and how did that go awry? How did that go wrong? Yeah, so these are two very big topics I'm seeing right now. Which one do you think we should talk about first?
I'm interested to hear both of you just talk about it. As in, I think for context also, I grew up very differently. In my family, I think, like, bless my parents, they were like, we don't care much what religion you subscribe to, because they kind of like believe that they were all roads to goodness. So there will be things like we will go to the temple to pray, and we went to lots of different temples. We went to the Buddha Tooth Relic Temple, we went to a Zen Buddhist temple, we went to Taoist temples, and then at home or television, my parents would play videos of the Jesus Love Me song and angels, cartoon angels teaching us about how to be holy according to the 10 Commandments. So I felt like there were multiple religious worldviews that were introduced to me and my brother at a very young age. So I never really felt like I had to adhere to only one set of rules. And at the same time, even though in that sense it was very secular, conversations about goodness or holiness was very philosophical. Like, it would be about when my father would talk to me about it, it would be very grounded in real world examples, like what do you notice about the nature, for example, the way it moves in cycles. How does that teach you about being a person? So I think it was a very Eastern philosophy kind of undertone to it.
Then I know how to converge this now, which is the first, I guess, big pitfall is to stop critically thinking. I think as a Christian, right, when I was growing up, I really told all my seniors, all my mentors within the Christian community, I wanted to be a good person, like a really good person. And naturally, questions of doubt will pop in. For example, the Buddhist seems very, very kind, very nice. Will this person go to hell? Who is not inducted into the Christian faith? Big question mark. In fact, it will put the whole religious thought of Christianity to a point of tension. And I think the common response is don't think about it. And this is as a pattern I see in many different aspects. I know some Christians have good responses to this, and I myself have a better response as well. But one thing that I grew up in was a constant repetition of not to think about it, don't consider it. Even, in fact, thinking about these thoughts is unholy, is temptations from the devil. Even perhaps even this discussion, to some degree, is not right, because you cannot be thinking or talking about these things, and thus we have a huge contradiction. How can we be in life talking about the deepest aspects of love and grief, sadness and joy, but within religion we are not allowed to discuss these thoughts? So when I cannot discuss these thoughts, I start inventing ideas in my own head, and that leads to certain bad habits, such as, in your case, you say you lived a double life. I felt I lived a double life too. On some aspects, I was putting up a very powerful front of a very holy person. On the other aspect, I could be addicted to gaming, addicted to certain other vices. And I would think to myself, no, it's fine, because I can confess my sins and be cleansed and absolved of it. And it is human nature to be fallible anyway. And thus, it was acceptable, logically, from the Christian logic, to be in a state of duality. Whereas if you take a step back, it doesn't make sense. How can you be putting up two faces at the same time? So yeah, the suggestion by the community I was in to not think about it was the first big problem.
Yeah, because I completely agree with that and what you went through. Because even for me, when I think, even bringing it away from even religion aspect, I realized even in my day-to-day life, in terms of people who I respected, like adults in the working world, and after coming out of university, thinking all my life, oh wow, these people know what they're doing. I also want to do it as if I know what I'm doing too. I want to reach that level. But then coming out of it and entering the working world, I start to realize actually people also don't know what they're doing. And I guess that's also the shift in my thinking of wait, then if everyone doesn't know, then what is going on, And I realized that's when I'm I really need to think about what for me, not what everyone else thinks, because everyone else also doesn't know. So then who are you going to rely on other than yourself? So that's when, like, back to religion a bit, when I started to realize that everyone has their own beliefs. And some of them are super strong. That makes me someone who's like strong beliefs, loosely held person be like, whoa, you seem like you know what you're talking about. Let me see what it is about, you know? But then I start to realize, actually, maybe you found your topic and your thing. And that is amazing. And I'll share to you about my experiences as well. And we can compare and see, like, where's the correlation, you know? Maybe instead, rather than you forcing me and not forcing me, but like, in a way, I guess I'm more concerned of, like, parents, or maybe parents who think they know what's right for their children. But I mean, of course, it's out of love and out of care, and I completely understand that, because if someone believes so strongly in something, of course they're gonna be like, come on guys, please. Because that was me too, you know, like, even if it's just art, and I go, dude, this painting and this drawing was so great. Like painting is so fun. Please try it. It's so fun. But of course, maybe sometimes you might not think it's fun. But maybe if you do try, and I guess that's the different thing. It's like the open-mindedness and the curiosity that actually can give you more, like, knowledge about yourself. And yeah, okay, I'm going on a different tangent as well. But maybe I just going back into the cycle of I guess I really realized I don't even know, and then everyone also don't know. You know.
I think I want to now write off what you mentioned.
Sorry, I'm just rambling because there's so many things coming into my mind that I want to talk about.
Hard things is to organize your chaos, right?
Yeah.
Okay, we try. The loudest voice diplomacy, if you heard of it. Like, so now it is seen in religious contexts, and also outside religious contexts, even political contexts, where the person who shouts the loudest, the most convincingly, guys, it's red, you know, then everyone goes, wow, yeah, boy, kind of thing. Or if I get the most number of people to all agree it's red, then, you know, we all think red is the correct answer. Dangerous. And in the most simple context, the parent, you're right, the parent who says, I know what's best for you because I've lived life longer than you, and then tells the kid, you need to do this. And the kid goes into the world and see, wait a minute, how can that be? Yeah. We're in a tricky situation here, because I think one thing is true of sorts is that to suggest that there's one universal truth is a very dangerous endeavor. Like, there's no one correct way. Even in Christianity, I think that's one huge point that I will now cycle back to. I think in Christianity it's suggested that there is a singular of sorts most correct way, whereas learning from Taoism, it suggested that there's anyone who can articulate a set correct way is not correct. So for example, in Christianity, if I say what's the most correct way to live, it is somewhat clear, isn't it? Go to church every week, eat Holy Communion often, confess your sins as is necessary, and quote unquote live a holy life from there. Be God-fearing, believe in Jesus Christ your Savior. And it does seem like I've just listed a formula list of sorts. But every single formula can be put into question on the stand. Like, for example, if I go to church but my mind's always drifting, am I really going to church? And the quick answer is no. Then I will go back and say, but you said the formula is go to church. And you go, oh, no, you must go to church piously. Okay, what does that mean? What does piously mean? Because if I go to church and I do all that has been mentioned, but maybe deep in my heart, I have deep resentment to someone else, then is that okay? And the quick answer is no. So quickly we realize that even though what I've mentioned as the original set of rules seems to hold for many Christians, quickly it is debunked. And therefore, I now repropose the consideration. There's no one correct way. Therefore, if the parent says, I think I know the way, I think the Khalil Gibran poem comes in so handy here. The parent cannot live the life for the child. So even though the parent may know what seems to be the correct way, the analogy being that the parent is the bow and the child is the arrow. The child will live a life into the future a life that the parent can never live. Therefore, the parent, like the bow, stretches and pulls the string as hard as it can with all their might, looks at the correct direction that needs to be shot, and releases the arrow, releases the child into the world, and prays and wishes that the child will go far. I think that's beautiful. So, likewise, so now backtracking again, even if the parent, no matter how adamant and clear and sure that the truth is here, cannot impose it upon the child, even if it is religious. Yeah. Especially if it is religious, which is nowadays very strange, isn't it? Yes, Louise.
I'm just writing down my thoughts, so you guys go continue.
Okay.
Sure,
I
yeah.
have something to say too, because then I started realizing, right, that, you know, when, if we're like, for example, when I get excited over a new revelation of myself, and someone comes up to me and, you know, says to me, oh, I've found out this, and then I go, OMG, like, that was what I was thinking about too, and I've done this, so you should try it too. I'm not trying to prescribe this person, but I'm giving them an option because it worked for me, you know, which sometimes I also feel like our parents have like done that too, you know, in a way that, hey, I've lived a lifetime longer than yours. I have been through your struggle. I mean, the same type of struggles, and like, this works for me. I'm really excited, like super excited to share it to you about these things, because maybe it will work for you. So, and I'm open to that idea, and I've tried it, but then it doesn't work for me, I guess. But then it just makes me question, like, but I'm also not gonna go around like trying to find out all the religions in this world and see which one sticks. You know?
Yeah. I think before you continue your thoughts, you can write down also, because religion's a big topic, right?
Okay, I want to share something.
Goodness, now I need to write as well. Yes, go.
Yeah. So the what you said about it depends on which voice speaks the loudest, and it's as if that voice is speaking the truth, right? I've realized that somehow, because of the way I've been brought up, none of the voices that I hear, particularly about faith and religion, are super loud. And so I've realized that what this has done for me, and this is a double-edged sword, which is to be a kind of nomad. So in secondary school, there was a period in my life where I was super invested into Christianity, because I felt like it was a belief that I was least familiar with, and therefore it was this shiny new thing that I wanted to discover. So I did extensive, intensive research. I went for like many different kinds of church services. I went online. I would read scholarly academic articles. I would read books written by priests and Christian writers, days and days, weeks and weeks on end. I even tried to convert myself into a Christian, right? And I realized that it came from this desire where I was in church, and then the pastor told people who was like, okay, I will pray for the congregation of the church, and whoever receives the blessings of the Holy Spirit, you are invited to come down and speak in tongues with us. And then I heard like people starting to burst into song and cry and go down, and then suddenly there was this mass of people who were speaking in a language I didn't understand. And back then I was enthralled. I was like, what is this? What is this new aspect of humanity that I haven't seen before? Like, you're telling me this woman that I met in the MRT who followed me all the way to church, like, she's suddenly bursting in song? Like, how is she suddenly a different person? I don't understand. And then I poured myself into Christianity and was like, no, I want to be a Christian because I want to experience what it's like to have the language of God take over my tongue, you know, and to suddenly speak it. And so I I tried to look at the world as a Christian would. I tried to understand what does it mean for faith to overpower doubt, to understand that there are things in the world that is beyond human thought. And for a split second, I felt that I was a whole new person. And then that lasted for a few months. And then I stumbled back, not by choice, but like things were happening and I met people and I stumbled back into Zen Buddhism. And I went into the mountains and I saw this most peaceful, most serene man who feels like he's unable to get angry at anything but has this fire in him. And he would talk about the soul and the world and about people and about the universe, and I was enthralled again. I was like, I want to know how you look at the world. What gave you that pair of eyes? What magic did you see in life to be able to look at the world in this way? And I want to understand how you see this world. So I started to read about Zen Buddhism and started to immerse myself into it, and I realized that what I was doing is kind of like a little nomad going to different lands and then building a house and then staying there and then understanding the landscape and the terrain and the weather and then packing my bags and then going to another land and then setting up base there. And this gave me a kind of, I realized, ability to inhabit almost like the internal mind and feeling of another person, but it also made me an outsider constantly, where I always felt like I was inside a community, but a part of me knows that I was going to go on and travel somewhere else. So I felt like because of this nomadic nature, there was always a longing to be a part of a faith or a community, and at the same time this watchfulness where I desire to not sample, because I really went very in depth into every single thing, but to almost feel like I want to live so many lifetimes. I want to know how this new like skin life of worldview can make me a new person again and again in different kind of like environment and lens. Yeah.
I think this is a precious kind of like connection over to a Christian or a person who's born Christian, who's seen the world with the grammar of Christianity, being able to re-look at Christianity through the lens of other religions. And that really, really helped me. So for example, in studying about Buddhism and Taoism, I re-understood Christianity in a way I never thought I could. Even the stranger kind of mystical texts by other people, like for example Gurdjieff. You know, remember the Gurdjieff dance that we do, right? But if you read his book, he was quite Christian actually, but his perspective was very, very unusual at the same time. And on reading it, I felt like I re-understood Christianity a little bit better, a little bit clearer, because all the previous bad habits that I had, because I wasn't thinking deeper, now was crystallized even more. And then I felt I found a newfound faith, actually, that I felt was closer to what Jesus originally intended, actually. Like, to me, what I thought to me was closer to the essence of it. Now, it gets interesting because I feel, again, there's no formula to it. It could be from these various sources that help you relook at it, or it could be something else completely entirely. I feel Grotowski himself, like the theatre practitioner master that we kind of train under the style of to some degree, he found it in Haitian voodooism. Like, I think he seemed the most like moved by the Haitians in voodoo culture. Like, whoa, you know. Is that wrong? I don't think so. I think he found himself there. So likewise, I think then comes an interesting question, which is, where is your purpose? Where is your destiny? In a way, back to Christian grammar, where is God pulling you to think? Because if you've been praying very hard to get closer to God, and God is leading you down these interesting question marks, then maybe that's where God lies. I think something you mentioned before, that Jesus Christ is truth. So if I pray that I want to seek truth, and I go down a path that is now outside conventional Christianity, am I not, technically speaking, also coming back to the true essence of Christianity, which is truth as Jesus Christ? So it's very interesting, isn't it?
Yeah, and truth is not something that you can propose to someone in terms of words and language. Not even an ideology. Truth is something that you need to innately experience in contact with your world and your reality, which is what makes it so tricky. And that's why no parent can be like, this is truth. Because it is like a rite of passage. It's like you need to receive it for yourself. You need to touch truth by yourself.
Yeah, you need to experience it and you'll know it, and you cannot dictate an experience. What you can do is provide a circumstance that you might potentially experience it, or you might not. So that also links back to something that you mentioned, like you somehow have also become the parent to another person. You've experienced something that another person will be experiencing soon or not. And you go, I've experienced this. The best I can propose to you is that if you tried this, see what happens. See whether you experience the same thing, and the person might not. In which case, you need to also accept that, that person's situation is different. Yours was still true. And that person must also experience or understand someone gave me advice. I can choose to take it or not. Or I can choose to take it and then suddenly change and experience it differently. And I think that's the beauty of the phenomenon of being human. We're not robots. If it was so clear, then all of us are AI, no different. But we're not, yeah. So that's why it's so unusual and interesting.
Speaking about the whole concept of truth, what is your definition of truth? Because a lot of times people can mistake truth for like, oh, what is the point of the world? Are you seeking that truth? Or are you seeking the truth of your actions, that you actually want to sit like this, or you're just doing this because there's a camera in front of you? Like I think for me right now, when I say like, oh, I'm trying to seek truth, I'm just trying to find out who I am. Because like, why is it that sometimes I don't even know what I want to do in my life? Like, why are you so sure that you want to do this in your life? Like, I don't know, I guess.
How do you know?
How do you know?
You don't know. I think that you don't ever truly know what it is that you want to do. It's like what not Rumi. Is it Rumi? I think it's like what Rumi said that. Wait, let me check. I need to fact check this. Okay, go on.
Or like when people go like, I don't want to. Like, what's the point of seeking truth? I'm just being. Like, I'm just here. Why can't I just be here right now and enjoy my life to the fullest?
I think here's where, to me, like John Vervaeke's like In Search of the Meaning Crisis series was very, very inspiring to me, because first of all, like the whole thought that many philosophers all across time have been asking the same question, and most of us don't even know what they've figured out. So what is the modern day, like after so many years of thinking and trying and working off of each other, ever since Socrates, Aristotle, all the way down to Carl Jung, Heidegger, what did they find? I think there are some small points of congregation. First of all, like everyone kind of unanimously agrees to some degree that you exist, right? Like you're pretty sure you exist. No, I think therefore I am. To me that's like one of the first things. Like, how do you know your truth? Well, the first question is, do you exist at all? So I'm pretty sure I do, because I think, okay, cool, we can start from there. That's not bad. That's pretty decent. And to me, what kind of moved me very strongly was, if I slap you, it's gonna hurt, isn't it? Have you tried to feel pain before? Like, to really feel pain from exercise and whatnot? It really hurts. And that's real, isn't it? Like, that sensation is real. So now we've got two elements that I think are quite precious. One is the mind, and one is the body. And different philosophers will debate in different ways. But to me, that unity of the two then becomes kind of a whole. So then the question is, what does my body feel or think? And what does my mind feel or think? Because I can contemplate what's good for me. So for example, as you say, what's the point of it all? It sounds like a very mind thing. And my body can go, my back is not comfortable. Feeling better now. So that was true to the moment, because there's the body receptivity and sensation to kind of guide you. And then there's the two together. Like, in principle, what will my body need and work with? So that's quite interesting. And that's also like, in a very foundational level, right? In the seeking of truth, there is my mind thinking, what must I do to survive in the world? The body giving reception back. Like, for example, touch being a huge thing. Do you know there's a cup here? Yes, my senses can see it. I see something, there's reflection back. I touch it. See how it moved? It reacted to the world. And one more level higher is that the two of us here say we see a cup too. Now you've got multiple levels of reassurance that something exists and therefore is true. So we can ask the question, is there a cup there? And everyone goes, yeah, we're pretty sure there's a cup there. Benefit of doubt, because the Zen Buddhists can go, there is no cup. What is cup? And they're right too. So it gets kind of interesting. But of course, on one aspect of this discussion of benefit of doubt, we've discussed a little bit about the sensing of what is truth. And then you can go further than that. I think I love this quote that your father's friend once said, which is the first level of I guess a Zen Buddhist, could I say it? Could say there is a cup. Then the second level is there is no cup. And the third level is there is still a cup.
Yeah, I like the ability, I think, to wrestle paradoxes, to hold paradoxes and not just go, no, this is right and this is wrong. I think it's so precious. And I feel maybe sometimes the religion or being brought up in religion takes that away, because there's so much emphasis on no, what is correct, what is good, what is bad, what is true, what is beautiful, I found a quote. It's by Krishnamurti, and he says, the day you teach the child the name of the bird, the child will never see that bird again. The first time the child sees that fluffy, alive, moving object, you say to him, sparrow. Then tomorrow, when the child sees another fluffy, moving object similar to it, he says, oh, sparrows. I've seen sparrows. I'm bored by sparrows. And I was always so... I think this is lately one of my favorite quotes, because it just proves how restrictive and how fallible language can be. Which is why I love poetry, because poetry is language trying to transcend itself. In that same way, I think some aspect of religion is humanity trying to transcend itself. It is like, it's always about how the body sees that it's not just form, it is more than form. But it's so ironic how the moment we go, no, this is good and this is bad, this is a sparrow, this is not, this is a cup, this is not a table. This could be a, if you see a word as a word and not and a label, this could be a gobsmash. And it could be a gobsmash. Who says it needs to be a cup, Calling a gobsmash doesn't take away from how this thing is and what it is containing. And then the moment you start to see life that way, it opens up and it crystallizes, and you see that, wow, we are trying to find a way to live life that becomes more than its material instinct. And that's why we can never truly name truth. Because to name it will be to enforce it sometimes in a form when its very essence is to try to transcend what it is.
Wow. Wow. Fair point. So I want to now build on that. So say, for example, us being born devout Christians, understanding the grammar of Christianity, if you pull the rug from under us and say, by the way, what do you think? Nah. The natural first instinct is to replace Christianity with another religion. Okay, if Christianity is not it, then Buddhism, fine. And then if Buddhism is not it, then Muslim or Islam, then fine. But that is way too low level. That is really, as you say, replacing the label with another label, or like yeah. We're still in the same circle actually.
Yeah. When what I'm actually asking you to do is to go, can you hold both good and bad with the same amount of love and wonder? I think wonder and curiosity, instead of trying to banish one and trying to get rid or get disgusted by one thing over the other. Can you hold both of them at equal measure? and it's so interesting how even life and death, right? Can you hold both at the same time? And people, most of the time, they feel so afraid to do that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Wow. Because now I come to realize, like, as again also as a born Christian, the understanding of the world is so locked and so, I guess, sticky.
Black and white.
Yeah, in a way, yeah. It's such that to tell me, okay, take a step back, is so challenging. I don't know how to see the world as if there was no God, for example, or no God in the conventional sense of a father in the sky dictating certain things. Because the Buddhist understanding of a God is very, very different, isn't it? Like what is the Tao in a way. I think we're all kind of talking about the same thing, but in a different perspective or lens. So to take a step back from that, from whatever I labeled as God or labeled as holy, was so challenging that the natural impetus of what I did in the end was to become extreme. Okay, since I can't escape this thought, let me just imagine no God. Let me just imagine that everything is like this, everything has no point. Then I have now swung to nihilism. In fact, I'm starting to think that nihilism is a religion itself.
Yeah, I just want to couch that a bit, because I don't think what you are saying is exclusive to Christianity. There are people, regardless, everybody, regardless of your faith, we all kind of have a quote unquote God. For some people, that God is fame. For some people, it's capitalism. And as long as you take that away, it can seem like there is no ground to stand on.
Yes.
And so, is it really God that is your God? Or is it the fear of death, for example? Is it the fear of hell? Like, what is that banner in which you need to stand under, That if I take it away, it's suddenly like you have no sky.
It is true. Like even myself studying a master's in arts pedagogy, I was learning about how education system, especially in a modern day context, is very much geared towards capitalism as the god. You are learning whatever will make you most practically useful in society. Whereas in the past it was very, very different. And if let's say, okay, don't do that, then you have now removed the ground from under. I don't even know how education exists as a system if it's not geared towards capitalistic ventures. Then what else is there? So I'm left wondering. And it's just so unusual, yeah.
And I think this is, I mean, I think, at least I have an intuition that this is closer. I don't think it's it, but I think it's closer to what the Buddhists believe as the idea of returning to emptiness. It's not that like, oh, you meditate and then you ascend into nirvana. No, I think it's that you realize that you are putting banners in the sky. And you're replacing one banner with another banner and another banner. And then sometimes you ask yourself, actually, why is there a banner? Then what happens if I remove that? And if you actually take the time to think about it, it is fucking scary.
It's fucking scary. I feel like people who are watching this right now are probably like, what the fuck? Switch off, because this is fucking terrifying. Like, what are you telling me that like, then what am I working towards? Like, then what's the point of living, Then why do all of this? And then that's when, the topics, nihilism comes up about,
Yeah. The interesting thing is that, like, now that if you remove a goal for me or a meaning for existence at all, then it seems like there's no meaning anymore. But what you're saying is as if a child learning to walk on two legs. We now need to approach a situation whereby we cannot name the goal and yet still know that there is sort of a goal, yes and no at the same time. Something like that.
The search.
The search begins. Yeah.
So today earlier we were having a conversation with a friend, and he was like speaking about the relationship between art and religion, and he was saying how both of them are about the search for truth. And I feel like we get so hung up over what the truth is that we forget that maybe that the most important word in that sentence is the search. How rigorous is your search? How open-minded is your search? How many times are you willing to start over again in that search? I think that makes a lot of difference, because the world will keep telling you that you need an answer. I think also religion is like, no, like memorize this scripture, and like you need to understand whether the things you do is good or bad. And sometimes that dims that need to search.
Damn, yeah.
Yeah, I agree. But at the same time, how do you search? Is searching like going into like on the internet and asking all types of religion what is what? Or like not even religion, but like how do you like I guess it's more of like, for me, I have my own way of right now searching. So but how would you
experience this cup? Cup. How will you experience this thing? This is it even a thing actually? How will you experience this?
I mean, scientifically speaking, I can use my five senses, right? And then I can just look at it and I see whether it moves me internally on my sixth sense of my heart. Somehow, looking at it from this angle makes me very sad. Interesting. I don't know why. It's like this circle is tilted wrongly. It's an unusual experience. And there can be a lot of other ways, right, to experience this cup. Oh. You know, for example. But now there's no name to this anymore. I also don't know what that was.
And maybe if I when I look at this cup, it says here Taiwan, and I'm thinking about when I bought this cup. And I remember the day I bought this cup. It was after a Tai Chi competition in Taiwan. I bought it with my father at Starbucks. This was the first cup that I knew I wanted to put in my house, because the scenery that is described here, that is shown here, is actually places that I have forged memory at. So holding this cup, I am reminded of that time 2 years ago. But at the same time, I am in the present. So you see how even the idea of past and present, they don't actually exist. How can I be in the present experiencing the past, but I know that it is the past, but not just the past, but it's still the past?
Wow, yeah. I was thinking on lines of back to the question of how do I search, right? Like, how do I know what I can do with this cup? There's a few interesting question marks I feel that was interesting guidance for myself. One being, to know where you want to go, you must know who you are and where you come from. I think these are interesting question marks which in a way can give guidance to something. I'm not sure where it will lead to, but it gives a guidance to something, which is, who are your parents? Who are your great-grandparents? Which land did they come from? What's in your blood? What's in your body? And then asking, yeah, who am I? What experiences have I had so far that made me this unique person? And I don't know why, but answering those questions for myself gave me guidance to where I have to go, or like where was the pulling, the calling, such that I can experience things like the cup in ways I never thought I could. Because you notice how my first answer to your question was a scientifically logical one. No one can deny that use of five senses is a pretty good answer to how to experience something. But then I gave two more examples, and you gave one more on memory, which now is extremely intangible, extremely hard to explain as well. But I felt that that experience, and also what you experienced, was very real, was very truthful to ourselves in that present moment. And there might be more ways to experience this cup that felt right. Yeah.
And in fact, my experience of this cup, or looking at this cup, is not going to be the same as yours. It's not going to be the same as Beatrice, who didn't have the experience of going to Taiwan and buying it from the same Starbucks. And yet we are looking at the same thing. And I wonder if that can be the same for God.
And I'm also quite touched by your story of where you get this cup.
Yeah.
I'm feeling this sentiment, like I don't want to break it now.
Yeah.
means a lot to you.
Yeah.
And on the exact same vein, you see how feeling that sentimentality, because we bought this cup as a pair. This one is Renice's one. The blue one that's precariously perched on the edge for quite a while. It's mine actually. And I knew it was there, and I felt the
It
Renice,
might drop.
Renice could get excited and go, guys! And then, but I didn't say anything. And that was an interesting experience as well, because I didn't want to impose. Yeah, I felt that if he drops, that's God's will to some degree. Interesting question mark, right? But yeah.
Like, it's like there's no way I could be like, Julian, you need to feel the same way I feel about this cup.
And Renice, how I experienced it made me sad. You need to feel sad now too, looking at that cup in that angle. Yeah, but yet both are true, and one can inform the other. Like looking at you, look at the words now makes me want to look at the words, and I go, oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
I feel like I want to like actually add on to this, like how in a way taking away the labels to the labels, right? And something clicked in my head, which is like bringing back to the beginning of like the topic. I actually did speak about love, and then I was thinking in my head, like the question that my sister asked me once, like, wow, you have been heartbroken multiple times over crazy past ex stories. Even the most recent one. Like, what do you mean? Suddenly I say I love you, but goodbye. You know, okay, sorry. We might cut that out. But anyways, like, and then she asked, like, how do you keep going? Like, what do you mean you're fine? And I'm like, yeah, what do I mean I'm fine? Like, was that not love? Was that so easily, like, cut? Like, did I not feel love? But then I asked myself, then what is love? If that was not what I felt, because I thought that was love. But then so easily, like, move past. And then, but then that brings to the question of, like, why do I think I know what love is? And why have I already labeled it for myself? You know? And then it's the whole thing about, like, truth as well. And then I realized what keeps me going is this constant search of this new form of, I guess, love in each relationship or with a person, and the new form revelations I have with myself.
Or just a constant search.
Or just a constant search.
Full stop.
Full
with
stop.
each person and every person.
Yeah.
Even if it's
not labeled as love.
Yeah.
It's just a constant search. And if that person, and I realize if that person really doesn't want to search with me, then okay, fine. That story has ended, and it's okay. But then, yeah, I guess
that adds up, because when your relationship ended, I remember the phrase that you kept mentioning is, why can't we get more time together? And I think that adds up, which is not time in a sense of like, I want to spend the rest of my life together with you, but time as in the search.
The search. And I think it's like what you said about I am searching and I'm realizing that maybe this cup is here, and whether it's a cup or not, and then you guys like add into the fact that, hey, it's a cup. It's very reassuring to me that I am real and I am here. That suddenly if someone else doesn't want to search with me, I'm just like whoa, like, is this cup here? Am I even here? I guess that's what I was falling into, that trap of relying on you guys to tell me that the cup is here, rather than trusting my own beliefs that this cup is here. Oh, it doesn't, or maybe it's here, full stop.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's like, if you say there is a cup and I say no, there is a 杯子, and you say whatever it is in Russian, right? It doesn't make this less real that it is sitting on the table.
I like that there is even a search for search. Okay, sorry. Now we're going the whole thing. But then, okay, then maybe just to like kind of ground us back, I think also what I was working on towards is to be able to actually use my body to be able to feel a certain sensation or feeling and to observe it. Like to the fullest extent without actually like going, oh, this feeling is depression, I'm going to do everything in my way to stop it. Or for example, right after the breakup, like I was upset. I was very like hurt, you know, of like a complete trust in someone, and then completely like everything kind of repeating itself again in that sense where like my distrust, like how can I trust anyone again, you know, and this feeling of like in a way maybe betrayal. But then to be able to go to like the studio and I was screaming and crying to the top of my lungs, and nothing, like no problem was solved, but I felt so free, which I cannot explain it in words, but I can only feel it, you know. And to be able to even have the space and environment to do that, I guess like that was my search, you know, with using my body for, and not actually just like, I mean of course I was like journaling my thoughts and ideas and like not ideas but like understanding what I'm feeling, but sometimes I can't articulate it, you know. I can't put sadness to it because that was not really what I was feeling, you know.
Yeah, and sadness is a label.
It's a label. So yeah, I don't know where I'm going with this.
Yeah.
But I guess I'm just going towards like how it's more of like a then how that I'm like trying to bring it back down to like, okay, we like think this is so like maybe high level thinking for a lot of people, like different level thinking.
Then how, right?
Then how?
Then how in terms of what?
How do you carry on living your life? Are you going to carry on living your life looking at each cup being like, oh wow, beautiful shit, like, oh, this chair, where did it come from? Who made it? You know, like it also is very difficult in a day-to-day life to go to your friends and be like, have a normal conversation, not like normal, like maybe conventional conversation of like, oh, what are you doing? What have you done in your life so thus far? And then they go yada yada, saw a man, broke up with, like, how do you maybe link it into the modern day of I don't know. I know it's for the self and to know. I guess where I'm going is,
What should I do now?
yeah.
What should I do now?
If like now that I know this information, for example, like it's so vividly in my mind, how do I like embody it and rather than just theoretically like think about it?
I have a response to this first, which is at the end of the day, the form can remain the same, which means if I knew this information, if I didn't know, I would do the day a certain way. In terms of the actions, it may look about the same, but the intention, the awareness, the life, and the joy of every moment can be vastly different. So, for example, I knew I need to brush my teeth later tonight, but I can really enjoy that brushing sensation because, you know, like, I don't know, like, for whatever reason, or maybe as someone once said, like, brush your teeth with your left hand instead, just have that sensation to
Or like
rediscover.
you brush your teeth and then suddenly you are like, am I touching my skeleton? And then that idea tickles you.
Yeah, I'm cleaning my skeleton, and then you find a little bit of joy again. Then perhaps, you know, as we've always thought that I need to achieve something in life, and therefore I'm holy, therefore I'm good, therefore I'm happy. But no, the happiness, the living was the right now, was the right here. And maybe today was in a way labeled good because I'm here. Even though nothing much has changed, even though I'm still poor, I'm still in pain, I'm still not as fit as I want to be, but I experienced the fullness of the today. And that's amazing. And then tomorrow, what will happen next? You might forget. Then how? How will you remember the sensations, the joys? And it's not a repetition. It's not repeating to brush your teeth again with your left hand and to think about the same joke, you know? It's to find it again. And then suddenly you realize, perhaps, every day, every moment you're living.
I guess like just now when we were talking about banners and labels, and then suddenly we realized that when we remove the banner that we are standing under, it's like we are forced to look at the world like a kid or like a child again, without labels, without names. And so I wonder what it would be like if we see each other every day with that same perspective of a child. Or are we going to go home to our families and be like, I live with this person for 20 years of my life. I know what they're going to do. I know you lah. You're going to like spill the drink again when you bring it over. I know you. You're going to be lazy. Like, are these not also labels that we are putting on someone? And if we remove these things, if we truly see a person, our friend, a pet, our parents, our siblings, the people closest and furthest from us, if we see them and we just looked at them as if it was the first day we were learning anything about them, how would we truly be? I think that's...
I like this so much. I don't know what's hitting me so strongly right now is that concept, that very label of adult and child. Like, who said that at 18 suddenly you've crossed a magic barrier whereby now you are a senior to society? I think in that same vein, if we remove the label of adult and child, then we are children all our lives. And therefore their search is infinitely bigger than we think. So, I mean, it's clear from a child to adult, right? Like a toddler cannot walk, so toddler stands up. Toddler learns how to speak. Toddler learns about how to, I guess, navigate through the world. To fall down, to stand up, to get punished, to lose something, to etc. And likewise, we kind of, I feel, stop trying to learn and grow as adults. Because we say, oh, we should have had things figured out as an adult. Yeah, but what if no? What if in a way it's ceaseless and we don't know what's next, and we must keep trying? I don't know.
Yeah. So for some reason, this phrase of searching for the life in living just comes to mind.
Yeah, searching for the life in living is a beautiful way to phrase it, I think.
That said, okay, from an extremely logical perspective, I can feel like the old Julian wouldn't be convinced. He would say like, that sounds amazing.
But what's the point of it?
Something like that, like, but I want to know what to do. Tell me what I could possibly do. And there could be some guidances here and there, everywhere. One of them being, do art. Or find a craft and cultivate yourself through that craft. I feel like various religions have also kind of understood the theoretical of things and go, okay, if someone's really, really wanting to now dive in and is keen to do something at all, what could they potentially try to do that may reap a lot of interesting insights? Then these two words come in, craft and sacred. So craft, I think, is like, say, for us, would be taiji or theatre. That in working on this craft, a lot of insights come about, and that's where what I'd like to define as the word sacred, like something that reveals a lot about you, like a mirror. Like, I don't know, for example, what I need to do tomorrow, but I could do taiji, and then in doing taiji, I go, oh my goodness, I suddenly realize I'm stressed about something, and I go work on that piece of stress, and that to me is something that unveils itself to me, the unveiling.
Yeah.
If you were to live your life as if you were a kid, right? And I think if you were to ask what should I do, like, the most original state of being a child will just do whatever is curious about.
Yeah.
And somehow that would lead back into the arts, like singing, dancing, which is why it's such a fundamental expression of human nature. But science also, it will ask, what your nephew will ask, why is the sky blue, right?
Yeah.
Or why is the sky so high?
Yeah, why is the sky so high? Yeah.
Why is the sky so high? And it's like, is he truly looking for an answer? Is there and is there truly an answer also? You know? Because even if you say, oh, the sky is like a optical illusion that you see when colors converge, so it looks like, but that's a what is the sky, not a why is the sky.
Yeah.
I think you had a very, very beautiful possible answer to return to him. Why is the sky so high? Because it needs space.
The trees need space to grow.
The trees need space to grow.
I like that. Yeah. And the minute like that question is asked as well, like I feel like sometimes maybe I'm going towards the topic of like when you do something that works once, like and you do it again and again and again, trying to see whether it works again, it wouldn't work the same way
Yeah.
it used to. Like let's just say people that, you know, like let's just say for even for us when we do Tai Chi, like I think going in doing Tai Chi each time, it shouldn't be the same routine of like not the same routine, but I mean of course you're learning a routine, but it shouldn't be the same way you think about it how you thought about it the first time
Yeah.
you went in.
Even like say experiences that seem very like rite of passage. We are crossing over into adulthood. Like, oh, we are 18 now. We can go to a club. The first time you go in, right, wow, best experience of your life. You feel like you're let into a secret that only the adults know, right? And then you go, wow, there's alcohol, there's boys, people are giving you attention. And then you repeat this for the next 5 years.
Yeah. Or like yeah, even like I'm thinking in terms of like also maybe going to the gym, okay?
Yeah.
And like you go in each time, and yes, of course you're keeping fit. You know, it's like the first time you're like doing, you're working towards a goal, right? There's always like something that's going. You're so excited to go about, like oh, I'm gonna get like really big and really strong, and once you reach that goal, like you actually like you can continue to gym, like nothing wrong with gymming, perfectly fine. But it's the minute when you make it into like mechanize it that then you ruin the spark for it, you know, like the joy, and then now you're just doing it for the sake of doing it. But then if you find a new thing for it and maybe like go to the gym and like think of new ways of searching again, and I guess that's when like people set their own goals, right, as their own like means for enjoying something. But like you need to be conscious like of doing that, and if you're not, then you're falling down to that rabbit hole, you know. And that's when maybe it's not working for you anymore. Maybe you need to maybe go on a break or do something else, you know.
Yeah.
But it's like the minute you like become a robot, I mean like mechanize it, then you've lost it. So, but you have to realize that you are like, mechanizing it, because like, but if you don't realize that, then you also have lost it.
Yeah.
I think you always need to constantly get reminded of it too, because sometimes I forget, you know, why, because you get like suddenly life comes at you, and you're like, yeah.
You know, one thing that was the most annoying thing from my father growing up, but in hindsight also one of the best things that he could possibly do was anything that I told him. So as a kid I would be like, oh, I read this book, I know this works, or like, oh, I went through this experience, you know, I know this is the way in order to get success. He'll go, you think so? Okay. Anything that I throw at him, he will be like, you think so?
Yeah.
And it was so annoying.
Yeah, okay, so I wanted to go back to the topic of religion, because I feel like I started off very, like, in a way, aggressive, maybe. Was I not? I don't know. I felt like I was a lot of aggression in me. Because I felt like I couldn't fully think because I was scared that it was wrong. So I think,
Why?
because the more I thought about these thoughts, the more I felt it genuinely is the devil's talking, you know, to me. I
totally understand why you would say that, and also that also I think reinstates the thought that critical thinking is doesn't occur because that fear is very real.
Yeah. Because like, what if we're all completely wrong and I'm actually gonna burn in hell for going against my religion, you know? Like, I'm like, a part of me still is scared. Part of me still wears my cross. Because at least, you know, if I'm going all this way, at least you see I wore it, you know.
Yeah.
But I mean, okay, maybe what I'm also going towards is that the search for life in living does not necessarily is life comes with all of it, you know, all these questions, all these fears, all this anxiety, and to fully be able to feel it, and maybe at times it can be a lot, it can be much, and sometimes it might never go away, but then, but as a kid, like, how long can you cry for until you're like, no one's paying any attention to me, like, should I do something else? And then you get bored, well, in a way, like, bored of that emotion, and then you're like, wow, I really cried it all out, and like, okay, moving on to the next, you know. But I mean, of course, it takes a longer time, but I feel like where I'm going at is, it just takes bits and bits of pieces being like, okay, I'm gonna distract myself each time I feel a certain way, just because I'm scared of feeling super sad, or like it's painful, this emotion of sadness. But once you've experienced the utmost sadness, you're gonna be like, wow, and you recover from that. You're gonna be like, wow, like I did it, you know. But like I'm thinking of the times when I've like neglected this feeling and go like, oh, I'm really happy, and then it bottles up and it explodes out of nowhere, like at a different point in time in my life, and I'm like not ready for it. But yeah, so maybe I'm going in terms of like, how is it in a way speeding up that healing process, but at the same time like letting it take its time, but fully experiencing it.
Like I really like what you said, like life would not be life if not for all these questions and doubts and fears and joy and grief and everything that comes in between. And to negate these questions is also negating life itself, and therefore negating a part of yourself, and when you block out a part of yourself, then that thing will come out somehow. Like Carl Jung used to say, unless we make the unconscious conscious, we will call it God, and we will let it direct the rest of our lives.
Wow.
Wow.
And that's what art and love does, actually. It is to make the unconscious conscious. And that's why humans have a mind, right? If not, why are we not animals?
Yeah.
Yeah, because like then it brings super nicely to this quote that not to will your reality into existence, but to be able to be so open, so curious, so humble that you become someone capable of allowing reality in existence to speak through you.
Reminds me of the Khalil Gibran quote,
This is from Simone Weil.
Oh.
But yes, you were saying which Khalil Gibran?
The one that when you are so in love, you do not say that God is in my heart, but I am in the heart of God.
Yeah. And just to go back a bit about like the feeling of like not feeling to the fullest, I feel like the minute you block out your sadness, you are also blocking out your joy and the ability to fully feel happiness.
And can I also then say that if you block out your fear, you're also blocking out your faith. And if you block out your doubt, then you're also blocking out your truth.
Yeah. Wow.
Wow.
Wow. Yeah.
Shit lah, guys! Please tell me, like, please don't click away and unsubscribe. Please subscribe. And if you have any questions, please add it on, because, you know, we're all searching together. We're all just humans being humans. So,
We were really genuinely very scared putting this episode out there because we always knew that it was going to be a very touchy topic, but we also wanted it to be as personal and relatable as possible, I guess.
Yeah. I guess, yeah. I mean, also not to shame anyone. Like, I love my parents. I've like, I'm not, like, talking bad about anyone. It's just my personal experiences and what I'm feeling in my life right now, as of yet. Like a teenager after, I mean, like a person who has left the school life and is now facing the reality of the world. So yeah, and of course to like the special guests and the other podcasts, I'm also not trying to diss anyone, because it's just my own journey of life and I'm just sharing it to the world.
If there's anyone you think we should bring on to the podcast, also let us know.
Yeah, if you want to be a part of the podcast, let us know. We'll see, that'll be interesting. So yeah, Happy New Year! So many revelations this year.
I hope the next year brings you questions and worries and fears and grief, and at the same time joy and truth and
life.
And life. So, Happy New Year and
See
see
you.
you in 2026. Bye bye. Wow.
Okay, you got 2 days to edit this because you said